Welcome to Freelance Sucks. Here we discuss the dark side of freelancing about which nobody usually talks out loud. In this show, we speak with experienced freelancers, and I'm sure listening to their stories helps you prepare for freelancers' challenges. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Bri Leever, a freelance community architect with a generalist skill set as a superpower. So, welcome, Bri.
Hi, Yuri. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to join you here.
And right away, the easiest question. What is the most challenging part for you of being a freelancer?
Yeah. So I think this is the first thing that comes to mind. There's probably others. There's a couple, but one of the biggest challenges for me is knowing how to position myself within the scope of my competitors and how, like, what my relationship is with my competitors. So I feel like there have been seasons where I have like watched my competitors too closely, and it's almost like, you know, when you're swimming in your lane and you're watching the person next to you, you are not going to swim in a straight line. Like, your performance is going to be like less because of where your eyes are trained. At the same time, I've also had seasons where I just had the blinders on and I was like, I don't have any competitors. What? Like, life is so wonderful. I'm like the only unique person doing all this amazing work. And that's like also not helpful. Like, you're literally swimming your race with like a blindfold on. So finding that balance where like I have an eye on the people around me, but they're not, they're in my periphery, they're not my focus, is something that I consistently am trying to work through.
And who do you call competitors?
Other community strategists and builders, contractors. It's funny because like also my competitors are some of my closest friends in the industry. So Tatiana Figueredo, Jenny Weigel, Victoria Cumberbatch, Madeline Milne, you know, there's like, these are all people that I'm super close with too. And so it's, I don't know, my competition is my community.
It's so fun. Do you gather together and like, oh, do you know that you are my competitor, by the way?
You know, I wouldn't say we've ever like specifically called it out. But I had like a mastermind group with several other community consultants, and you know, everyone, it's like you are competitors, but everyone has a slightly different bend either to like what they do or how they approach their work or who they are, that I ultimately don't like using the word competitor, because I think we're like sparring partners, you know. It's like their work makes me better and my work makes them better. And I fully believe that there's enough work to go around. So I prefer to like come in close and be connected rather than like seeing it as like, I can't, you know, converse with you because you're going to take my work. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
And I feel like with folks you named, it's more like partnership, I would say. Something like you are moving in the same direction, but you are moving like together. It's not like you are competing against each other. And have you ever had this situation when a client chooses between two consultants, two freelancers, and you have to prove why you are better?
Oh, yeah, you know, that's a good question. I'm aware of. I've had clients come to me on a discovery call and say, you know, we're looking at a couple other options as well. So I never get that much insight into the process where, you know, like in a job interview, they're like, it's between you and one other candidate. Like, it's never that transparent. So you're flying pretty blind, but in the general sense of like, I know that these are people who are like providing services in the similar space, and there's some overlap with who we serve, and then there's some like pretty big differences. So it's easy when the differences are really pronounced. It gets a little bit trickier when there's more overlap just on how to support each other best. But I ultimately believe that there's like a solution there that is based in an abundance mentality.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the second question is, what is the most time-consuming thing you must do as a freelancer?
That's a good question. Posting on LinkedIn. We were just talking about that in the other episode. Yeah, it used to be my bookkeeping was pretty intense. And I one of the best things I did for my business was I got a bookkeeper and phenomenal tax accountant. Life-changing. I don't know how ridiculous your tax process is over in Europe, but over here it's crazy. So very thankful to have a great bookkeeper.
It's so fun. We're living in a time when there's like ChatGPT, all this automation, like automate your work, and almost every freelancer is talking about taxes and bookkeeping. Like there is no tool to automate it. It's so weird.
Right? It's insane. Something that's literally formulaic. Like there's actually like a formula. It's so convoluted, don't get me wrong, and they make it as confusing as humanly possible. Right? That's insane. Don't even get me started, Yuri. I could go off on this.
Got it. So what is the most nerve-consuming thing for you as a freelancer?
Sorry, but most
nerve-consuming thing.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I guess the most nervous that I get, I feel like two things. I feel like slightly concerned always that I will get canceled for something. I think like anyone with an audience who's putting things out there or trying to grow an audience, there's like that fear in the world that we live in. And especially when you're like you're trying to like push the envelope in the industry a little bit. And there's certain things that like I have strong opinions about in community building that I don't think are like cancel worthy, but I think that's always, it's something I really try to let go of, what other people think about me on a daily basis, but I think that's always there. And then the most nervous that I get is when I am talking to a potential client who like almost feels too good to be true. Like I feel like I start to like make concessions about what I will do in order to get their business. And I've grown in my confidence and to maintain my boundaries. But every now and then one pops up, whether it's like, oh, I love your team and I just love to like I would compromise in X, Y, and Z ways in order to work with you. But it positions me as like not having confidence in the value of what I'm providing. And so I've really tried to grow in that area and just maintain like, nope, this is what I charge. This is how my projects work. This is what I deliver, and not catering to not caving just because I am feeling insecure about being able to close the deal.
How to get this confidence? What are you doing to get this confidence?
I think it takes time. So I've been at this for 3 years, which is always a great reminder. I'm like, yes, I'm doing it. I've made it for 3 whole years. This is not an accident at this point. We have some proof behind us. So I think that helps, but also just like knowing that, like, I think what gives me the confidence, it's not that I know everything or have everything figured out, because it's always changing and there's always new challenges. But at this point, I feel really confident in my skills to find the right answer. Like I position myself as a scientist, not as a fortune teller. Mm-hmm. So when you position yourself as a fortune teller, or when you tell your clients like, yes, community is the answer to everything and it's going to solve all of your problems, and here's why it's like the secret ingredient and golden goose you've been waiting for, like, that's just it's setting yourself up. So I'm really careful of the expectation that I set. I'm like, we're creating a landscape for testing. And we're doing that by creating a community. And I'm a really good scientist. And so we're going to explore that together and create a community where you can get better answers about your company and your customers and your product. So I think when I set that expectation, I feel really confident that I can deliver that. It's when I'm not careful about, and I feel a little desperate and I start to overpromise to get the contract. And then that's a recipe for disaster.
You've already told about having this friends in this community consultancy world, I would say. And still, do you ever feel professional loneliness? Do you have something you are like just keeping inside of you and not sharing with others?
Yeah, that's a great question. I completely understand and have felt loneliness in my work. I would not categorize, I know that some freelancers would say that freelancing is lonely work, and I would not categorize this as lonely work. I think it can be. I have so Victoria and Jenny are my absolute cheerleaders in the background. We text each other when the shit hits the fan. We text each other, and it's so nice to have a couple people who are in your corner on those really lower days. I have just a couple different systems in my life that I feel help me not feel lonely in my work. Have a really good friend here on Big Island who also runs her own business, and we meet up once a week and are able to talk freelance work, and that's super helpful. I work on Groove consistently, which is this amazing co-working app. So if I'm ever I generally I'm not the person who really wants to work with a ton of people and needs a big team around, and I'm fairly independent, and so it's usually the other problem for me. It's kind of why I did freelance work, because I like to just go. And I definitely am feeling now, after 3 years, I'm oh, there could be some benefits to having a partner or someone who's going with you. So it's not always all on you. But I think I had, the team that I came from before I did freelance work was really amazing, but I managed a lot of people and I didn't have a great experience overall when I look back. And so I think I was ready to just kind of move faster solo for a time until now I'm kind of getting more ready to partner with other people a little bit more.
Once I heard this quote and it resonated with me a lot, that if you are working alone, you always have your ups and downs. But if you are working together with somebody, your ups and downs are not the same. So when you are down, somebody helps you. And when somebody is down, you are helping them. So that's kind of what helps you to, keep this growing line, not like this roller coaster.
Yeah, totally. And having those supports, and I have a wonderfully supportive partner who will always listen when something is rough, and I have good friends. And so I feel there's ways to, even though you are working with yourself, there's ways that you can support as well, find support.
If your friend wanted to become a freelancer, what are top 3 things you'd advise them to consider before doing it?
I would look at what are your own spending habits right now, your personal spending habits, because you will bring that financial baggage into your business. So I grew up with a very savings mentality. And so I think my business has done really well because I've always really worked in a lot of margin for times when things are slower. So I've structured my business in a way that's creates a lot of stability, and that can be a real struggle for a lot of people. So take a good look at how you personally finance and know that you might need to change up some of those habits before you're ready to fully sustain yourself and your business. really amazing book called Profit First that a friend just gave me that like I think kind of sums up my beliefs around my business's finances. The author's like really, frankly, kind of annoying, but the book is really good. Okay, that's the first thing, finances. The second is, honestly, I think my background in sales and marketing came in super handy. So if that's like going through like a marketing workshop or seminar, something to know like how to communicate. If you don't have a background in communicating what you're doing and who you are doing it for, like it really all comes down to those two things. That's something to consider because that's going to be, you will learn it along the way 100%, but sometimes a little bit of training there can be helpful.
Totally.
And the third, do you like talking to people? You are going to be talking to and connecting to a lot of people. If you think you can kind of just sit on your high horse and like not get in the dirt and like connect and network and like, you know, reach out to people and help others and like be willing to kind of share your time like that, especially in the beginning, this might not be a good fit for you. So it takes a lot of humility. Like on any given day, you really got to be able to like humble yourself and then come back with like, okay, but I'm also confident. And then you're like, okay, but I also, it's constant, right? You get it.
Yeah, I feel like if you are like an employee, you just have to be an expert. But if you're a freelancer, you have to be an expert plus a great communicator, you know?
You really, and I would say freelancers, I think my generalist skill set has really served me well within my freelance work. So if you tend to have like like very, like I have an expertise, but I'm not, I definitely would identify not as a specialist, but as a generalist. And so if you tend towards a generalist skill set, I would say freelance is probably a better fit for you than like a niche specialized role.
Now, Bri, I wish to have the sky's the limit, but time is the limit. So the final question, if you were starting freelancing today, what is one thing you would have done differently?
Oh, that's a great question. I would have gotten connected to the community industry earlier. I don't know how I would have like, I don't know how I would have become aware of that. I guess the thing would have been kind of bringing it full circle to what I talked about in the beginning, like becoming aware of my like book competitors earlier. And so being aware of like, who are the people who are building community? What are they doing? How are they speaking? I think I could have clarified my language a lot sooner. And I could have gotten connected to circles that were all asking similar questions to the ones that I'm asking. And that took me quite a bit of time from when I launched my business to like when I really got connected to the actual community world and industry. I truly just thought I was like, there's no one else doing this work. It was just like, how awesome. What an open frontier for me. So yeah, getting more connected sooner would have been good.
Got it. Thank you so much, Bri, for sharing your challenges and your freelancing story. I'm super happy to learn from you. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Yuri. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friends. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.